When motion lights work right, it's one of the most satisfying things in my smart home. I'll go days without touching any light switches. It's great. But motion lights are actually kind of tricky to set up correctly. I've done it wrong so many times. Let me show you 8 common mistakes that I've made over the years and how you can avoid them. For this first mistake, I had to learn this the hard way by accidentally annoying my in-laws, but more on that in a second. Here's what you need to know. Don't put a dumb motion sensor in the wrong room. You know, those really basic motion sensors that don't really have smart features. I have these in my pantry, laundry room, and a closet, and these work great in these rooms because they're fast, reliable, and you're usually in and out within a few minutes. But don't put them in a bedroom, and you might be like, Reed, that's obvious. You'd have to be an idiot. And here we are, a year after I installed it in this bedroom. This used to be the kids' playroom, so I thought it would be a good spot for one. Big mistake. A while back, my in-laws slept in this room, and I forgot to disable the motion light switch, so the lights kept turning on in the middle of the night. Oh, I felt so bad. And now they say I'm not the best son-in-law anymore, which is sad because I'm the only son-in-law. But I still highly recommend these dumb motion light switches. I just would not put them in a bedroom or anything that could be a bedroom in the future. The next mistake is probably the most common, always using a PIR sensor to turn off the lights. You might be like, wait, isn't that what it's supposed to do? Let me explain. See, the PIR sensor is great for turning a light on and off quickly, like if you're walking down a hallway or getting a drink of water in the middle of the night. The motion sensor is ideal for those scenarios. But it's not ideal if you're staying in a room for a while because the lights might turn off on you when you need them to stay on. Don't worry, there's some options to fix this. One is using millimeter wave, like in the Everything Presence 1 I showed a few months ago. It can detect the slightest movements like a deep breath, so it's the best solution to fix this. The problem is they're difficult to get a hold of, so you might have to use something else. For example, did you know that some smart lights can actually use Wi-Fi signals to detect if someone's in the room or not? It's true! And the new Whiz bulbs can actually do that. It's called SpaceSense, and it seemed promising, but I tried it out and it was a little too unreliable, which is a bummer. The other option is using ultrasound that's built into all the Round Echo devices. I did some thorough testing of this recently, and surprisingly, it's pretty decent at knowing when nobody's in the room, since it uses ultrasound to map out its surroundings. So here's an ideal setup with things you can actually buy right now. Use a PIR sensor to turn on a light because it's really fast, and then use the ultrasound in the Echo devices to turn off the light because it won't turn off the light if you're still in the room. And I got the ultrasound working in SmartThings and Home Assistant, and I'll show you how I did that on my second channel that I'll link down below. Now, that might not be a good solution for everyone, but not doing this next mistake could help you avoid this situation altogether, and that's how you turn off the lights. When motion is not detected, instead of turning the lights off immediately and leaving someone stranded in the dark, fade the lights off. This will give you some time to wave your hand and have the lights stay on if you're still in the room. It's a simple solution, but sometimes it's nice to have a warning for me or family members. Another mistake that has tripped me up before is turning off the lights with multiple motion sensors. Like here in the garage, I have one here and one over here, or one down the hall facing this way, and another sensor facing this way, both of them turning on these hall lights. In your automation, make sure your condition uses both sensors not detecting anything to turn off the lights. That way, if you're standing in front of one of the motion sensors, the lights won't turn off because the other sensor stops seeing anyone. This will save you some headaches. A really common mistake is where you position the motion sensor. You might think that pointing the sensor so that it will detect movement coming straight towards it is the best, but it's not. The best way to position a motion sensor is so that movement will go across it, kind of in a perpendicular direction. It's not that it can't detect someone coming straight at it, it'll just be slower and less consistent at detecting them. I like to put my motion sensors off to the side and at an angle. That way it increases the chance of me walking across it and detecting me quickly when entering the room. Another mistake, and one that I've even done recently, is not dialing in the delay for turning off the lights. For example, this room. You could have the motion sensor turn off the lights if it hasn't detected motion in 10 minutes and do that throughout the day. That would work fine. But there's an even better way. So what you can do is create separate automations with various delay times for turning off the lights depending on what time of day it is. For example, in the late afternoon here in the kitchen, you could have the delay be 30 minutes for turning off the lights. That way if you're standing kind of still cooking, the lights don't accidentally turn off on you. But if it's late at night, the lights could turn off quickly after 1 minute of no motion, so they don't bother anyone trying to sleep. Doing this can make motion lights way less annoying for everyone in your home. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is turning on the motion lights when they're not supposed to. Like if you're watching a movie, or if you're taking a nap, or if your wife is taking a nap. Trust me, you don't want the lights to turn on. So I have my automations check for a few things before they turn the lights on. If I'm watching TV at night, it checks the energy monitoring outlet to see if the TV is on. If so, the motion lights don't turn on. I also have a pressure sensor under my mattress, and if I'm taking a nap on the weekend, the lights stay off when someone walks into the room. Or you can use the light sensor that's included in many of these motion sensors. That way when you walk into a room, it will only turn on the lights when it's dark. So if you have a window shade that's open, it won't turn on the ceiling lights. I also have a switch I can turn on that disables the motion sensors in the room for the day. This comes in clutch all the time and I highly recommend it. Another mistake is turning on smart lights from motion without a physical switch to turn them off. That way, even if your logic fails and the lights turn on when they're not supposed to, someone can just quickly turn them off without opening up an app. That's why I try to only automate smart light switches with motion sensors, because you always have physical controls. This might feel like a lot of work to remember all this stuff and to set it all up, and it kind of is, but to me, it's worth the extra effort. Right now, all my motion light automations work so well that you forget that they're even there. Avoiding all those mistakes has made the automations basically bulletproof, with zero complaints from the family. I can't tell you how many times I had to deactivate motion light automations in the past because they were annoying. So you might want to save this video for future automation disasters just in case. And don't forget to check out that second channel video where I show you how to set up some of these things. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I think regular light switches are just easier.
Okay, fine, I'll deactivate the motion lights, but you're probably gonna have to get up in the middle of the night to turn on the lights for the kids.
Wait, what? That's your job.
Yeah, that's why I automated the lights with motion.
Ugh, fine.